Cody Rhodes is back in WWE. He made his in-ring return at the Royal Rumble, winning the men's Royal Rumble match. He then declared he would be facing Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. But the question is, in the road to WrestleMania, in the build-up to the Showcase of the Immortals, will WWE fans turn on Cody Rhodes? Hey guys, hope everyone is doing very well. Welcome back to Wrestling News 365, and I'm doing something a little bit different today. I'm out of office for a little while, so I'm doing the difference from the news. I'm asking the discussions. I'm having a bit of an opinion-related debate, and I hope to get your thoughts in the comment section below about this one, because will WWE fans turn on Cody Rhodes? That's the question. And my answer, the short answer to this one, I think is yes. I think they will. This is something I brought up when Cody Rhodes signed with WWE back in March, April, whenever he made his return at WrestleMania, whatever date that was. I think it was beginning of April, end of March, whatever. And one of the things I kind of mused at the time was what happened with Cody Rhodes in AEW. And what we saw with Cody Rhodes in AEW at the time was a guy that was in the Codyverse, right? We called it the Codyverse, and he had this sort of little pocket reality of AEW where he'd be having his own storylines. They were far different, and they felt really different in comparison to the other parts of AEW, the usual AEW storylines. They're usually involved in Cody having friends and being turned on by friends, and Cody doing these big promos, these long-winded soliloquies, being the ultimate babyface and getting upset and his voice cracking and having cheesy stuff and talking about the American dream and all this kind of stuff. And the reaction was mixed, to say the least, from the AEW audience. And that's why, if you go back and watch Cody Rhodes' last 9 months in AEW, every single time he came out and he made his big, elaborate entrance, what did he get? A mixed response. He got the John Cena response. There was noise, a lot of noise, but there was a mixed response because people didn't really buy into the goody two-shoes babyface. People didn't want to see him be a babyface. They wanted to see him be a bad guy because they felt that he was cocky. They thought he was arrogant. They weren't buying what he was selling. And some people said that he was trying to do WWE television in AEW, and that just didn't work, and it just didn't feel right for them. And obviously, when he left AEW and then he came to WWE, super over babyface, really popular babyface, huge reactions from the crowd, as one would expect, because this was the prodigal son returning home. Cody Rhodes hadn't been in WWE in, 6 years, and it felt like he would never go back. It kind of felt so wrong, and it felt so surreal to see an AEW executive vice president, one of truly the cornerstone, the pillars of AEW, one of the founding members of the major competition, to see him in a WWE ring. It felt surreal. Hearing his American Nightmare music, seeing him called the American Nightmare, seeing him with the bleached blonde hair, seeing the AEW version of Cody Rhodes in WWE, that felt so surreal. And that's why, in my opinion, we always saw these big receptions for him, because it was a novelty. It was Cody Rhodes. I can't believe we're seeing Cody Rhodes in WWE, and it's great. And at a time, WWE creatively was so stale that seeing something out of the norm, seeing something different, was worth celebrating, and it was exciting. But I did question at the time. I said, what's going to be interesting with Cody Rhodes is 6 months down the line into this WWE run, are we going to be seeing him get the same reactions that he's getting immediately? Are we going to see this adulation? Are we going to see the fans cheering him over and over and over and over again like we are now? And I said at the time I didn't think so, because it was a twofold reason. One, that previous WWE regime creatively didn't know how to effectively book a babyface. Look back in the last 5-10 years of the Vince McMahon creative regime, every single time there was a babyface, they ended up getting booed eventually. The crowd turned on them eventually because they just didn't know how to do it. Whether it was John Cena, whether it was Seth Rollins, whether it was whoever, eventually that babyface became totally unlikable. People just absolutely hated them, and eventually it got so insufferable they had to turn them as a heel. Roman Reigns is another example, right? The babyface routine under Vince McMahon was shove the babyface down your throat, goody two shoes, never do anything wrong, talk about gusto and heart and soul and spirit and all that kind of stuff, and that's what they do. And the crowd just absolutely hated it because it wasn't the modern babyface that they wanted to see. And that was largely what Cody Rhodes was doing in AEW anyway. And my feeling at the time was WWE doesn't know how to effectively book a babyface. Give it 6 months. I think he'll get the same reception that he was getting in AEW. Well, of course, that didn't happen, because only a few months in to this new run in WWE, he got injured. He got hurt. And because of his his storyline he was having with Seth Rollins, he was having these fantastic matches. And the best way to get over is to wrestle. When you have fantastic matches, people buy in, people like what you're offering then. They enjoy the in-ring product. And no one's going to say Cody Rhodes can't wrestle, because obviously he can. He's a fantastic worker. So he's having these great matches with Seth Rollins, and the novelty aspect was still there of him being an AEW talent, an AEW EVP. The shock of seeing him in a WWE ring was great. And then he has the match at Hell in a Cell where he's got the black and blue bruise on his arm, and his arm's ginormous and his chest is ginormous because he's torn his pectoral muscle, and people loved the grit, and it was a spectacle, and it was a 5-star match, and it was brilliant. And again, people bought into Cody Rhodes even more for that. So you went, wow, what a babyface. And then he's gone for 7 months. He was gone for 7 months, and as is the case, what makes the heart grow fonder? Absence. So he's gone, and a lot changes in WWE, and again, people are going, I can't wait for Cody Rhodes to be back. And then when he comes back, it's fantastic. He came back at the Royal Rumble. Fantastic ovation, won the Royal Rumble match, predictable, but who else was going to win it? So Cody Rhodes wins the Rumble, that's fine. What WWE didn't anticipate in Rhodes' absence, though, was the growth of Sami Zayn. And what the general feeling is at this point is that it might not be Cody Rhodes' year. Whilst Cody Rhodes has won the Men's Royal Rumble match, necessarily do people want to see him main event WrestleMania? And it kind of reminds me of when Batista returned in 2014. Batista returned in 2014. People for years had wanted to see Batista back in WWE, and WWE and Batista gave the fans what they wanted. He came back and he was wrestling and he won the Royal Rumble. The problem is that whilst everyone was happy to have Batista back, they didn't want to see him in the main event of WrestleMania. They wanted to see Daniel Bryan be in the main event of WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan, throughout the entirety of that 12-month period, had become one of the most popular talents on the roster. He'd done the yes chant. He'd had these matches against the likes of John Cena. He'd won the WWE Championship at SummerSlam and then been screwed over. He'd been screwed over time and time again by the Authority as well. He was the underdog babyface that everyone wanted to see succeed. So when Batista, this big star, this friend of Triple H, this friend of The Office came back in, people didn't want to see him succeed. They wanted to see their guy succeed. And whilst Cody Rhodes isn't exactly the same, it does have that kind of feel, doesn't it? If Cody Rhodes is WWE's pick. Cody Rhodes is the guy that WWE signed from AEW, they invested all the money in, and now he's going to main event WrestleMania. That's the story. That when he came to WWE, he wanted to do the thing that his father never did, win the WWE Championship, and he's going to main event WrestleMania. Dusty Rhodes never did that. Unfortunately, people want to see Sami Zayn main event WrestleMania. And the promo that Cody Rhodes did on Raw after the Royal Rumble, again, talking about the roads to WrestleMania and the next 62 days are the rest of my life and all this kind of stuff. Those are the promos he was doing in AEW that started to make people turn on him, because it was this over-the-top kind of cheesy babyface promo that people sort of roll their eyes at several comments at and go, okay, we get it. You're the good guy. We get it. You're the good guy. And whilst Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes could be a compelling feud, and I'm sure it will be, and I'm sure it'll be a fantastic match as well, is it really truly what people want to see? And now Cody Rhodes is the object between Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns as the main event of WrestleMania. How are people going to react to that? Because people might begin to turn on Cody Rhodes very quickly. One, because they might not like the promos, and two, because they might perceive Cody Rhodes as the reason for why Sami Zayn isn't in the main event of WrestleMania, while Sami Zayn isn't going to become the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. And the moment that fans decide that they're not buying into Rhodes' promos anymore, and two, that they'd rather see Sami instead of Cody, those fans could turn very, very quickly. And as we know, in the road to WrestleMania, WWE mainly hits the big markets. Rhodes is going to be on every single episode of Raw and possibly some episodes of SmackDown as we get closer to the showcase of the Immortals. Those big shows most likely will include the likes of Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, those, and even, LA, those big East and West Coast cities that have a larger, smarter audience in them. And if that's the case, people will probably say, hey, if they've by that point decided that they don't want Cody Rhodes to be in the main event of WrestleMania, they'll let him know it. And if he does those promos, they might not buy in. So the answer to will WWE fans turn on Cody Rhodes, my opinion, the answer is exactly the same as I thought it was going to be right after he signed with WWE. And that is, the answer is yes. Because whilst it's always good to long-term plan things, and whilst it's always good to assume and make plans for main events of WrestleMania months in advance, because you can tell a cohesive story, you can build out to a certain point in time and all that kind of stuff, It just feels wrong, in my opinion, to spend 9+ months telling this story about Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, winning over the trust of Roman Reigns, winning over the trust of Paul Heyman, winning over the trust of the Usos, and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually Sami getting a spine for himself and defending his best friend Kevin Owens from the devastation of the Bloodline for only, to have this match at Elimination Chamber, Sami Zayn to lose and then just be like, oh, I'm going to face Cody Rhodes now. People go, whoa, whoa, whoa. That story's not finished yet. I want to see an ending, a positive ending to that one. I want to see an ending in general. The Cody Rhodes story is a compelling one, yes, because Cody Rhodes, when he returned at WrestleMania last year, said, I want to come back and win the WWE Championship. I want to do something my father never did, and he can do that a year later at WrestleMania. That's a fantastic story. But that story hasn't been told as much and in much depth, and people aren't as emotionally invested in that story as they are as the Bloodline story right now. And if WWE tries to force this on the audience in the build-up to WrestleMania, I believe they will begin to turn. And to be honest, the moment that turn does happen, if indeed it does happen, of the fans turning on Cody Rhodes, WWE's got a massive problem for themselves. Because are they really going just to bite the bullet and say, we don't care, we're going to do Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes in the main event of WrestleMania if it's not popular? Because there's one thing that Triple H has right now, and that's the will of the audience. That's the will of the fan base. Despite all of the craziness that's going on with Vince McMahon and his forced return to WWE and the lawsuits and the allegations and all that kind of stuff, WWE is doing record business right now. They're selling out arenas, ratings are very, very good, and critically the shows are mostly acclaimed. There are some episodes where you go, oh, I'm not sure about that. There are some creative decisions where you say, oh, I'm not that sure about that. But mostly, I think to a person, most people will say the shows are better since Triple H took over. However, if Triple H is too rigid with his plans creatively for WWE, and he says, we're going with Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns regardless, I think Cody, unfortunately, could be a bit of a casualty because of that. He could be someone that, through no fault of his own, this isn't Cody Rhodes' fault, this is entirely creative's fault. If Cody Rhodes is just hammered into that spot where he's going to be facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, the fans could turn. And if they do turn, where does that leave him? You've got this guy that is a big babyface at the moment, and the crowd is reacting positively for now, and he is selling a lot of merchandise for now. But if he's badly creatively booked, and if they force him down people's throats, and this has been the problem under Vince McMahon, is Vince McMahon for years told the audience, you have to like this guy. You don't have a choice in the matter. The audience has to believe that they have a choice in the matter, even when they don't necessarily, because sometimes it's about how you present them, but you have to give the audience the impression that they have a choice who they can cheer for. Vince McMahon, especially in these later years, but also in the 90s and the 80s as well, but particularly in those later years, told you, you have to like this guy. This is the guy. You've got no choice in the matter. It's not organic. You have to like this guy. And if this gets into the territory of Cody Rhodes where it's the same, you have to like him. He's the main event of WrestleMania. Get over it. The fans are all bow, especially in 2023. The fans don't like to be told what they have to do. This whole Sami Zayn thing with the Bloodline, like it was always the plan for Sami Zayn to get over, but it feels like the fans have made that decision even when they haven't. And if they feel like they're being forced to like Cody Rhodes and like this main event of WrestleMania, they won't like it. And they'll tell people that they don't like it too, because they'll say, I want Sami Zayn. I want to make my own decision on this. So again, the question was rather, will WWE fans turn on Cody Rhodes? If I had to make a prediction right now, I think if nothing changes between now and WrestleMania, I think the answer is yes. I think they do. Now, there are different routes that WWE and Triple H can go down creatively to ensure that the fans don't turn on him. But if they make the same mistakes of the past and they don't change anything creatively between now and WrestleMania, they have Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber, he loses and he just pivots to Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, we might have a problem as we head into WrestleMania. If they make some subtle creative changes, if they add Sami Zayn to the main event and they just say to Cody, look, it is what it is. We're going to split the titles up anyway. Sami's going to be Universal Champion on SmackDown. You're going to be WWE Champion on Raw. Like, we can have a situation where you win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. We could do that, or we can do it after WrestleMania. We can do something. You can wrestle Sami Zayn coming out of WrestleMania. I know you don't want to be a bad guy. That's partially why you left AEW, but it is what it is. So it's a fascinating circumstance and it's a fascinating concept. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. The question is, will WWE fans turn on Cody Rhodes? I say eventually yes if nothing changes. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to smash the like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.